Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witnesses for your testimony. Some of that I think I heard a couple times, and so I've got that soaked in. But I have a question for Ms. Kendall, and that is that some in this country would advocate that we really shouldn't have borders, that if you just let the supply and demand of the labor markets determine the flow of people, that people have a right to go anywhere in the world they'd like to go and work and earn a living and provide for their families, etc. And so I just would point out that that philosophy does exist in this country and other places around the world. And if that were the public policy of the United States of America, would there be anything for USCIS to do?
If there were fraud involved in that, there'd be a job for FDNS, sir.
Could I point out that if they are completely open borders without any restrictions, there wouldn't be any fraud? So is your answer there wouldn't be anything for USCIS to do if we didn't have immigration laws? Could I ask the witness to answer yes or no to that?
Sir, I don't have a clear answer beyond I don't know.
Well, I think that's the does the sun come up in the east question for USCIS, actually.
Would the gentleman yield?
I'd be happy to yield.
Because I think that, number one, and I appreciate the gentleman yielding, I'm not familiar with the individuals who are recommending no borders, but certainly it's the U.S. Immigration and citizenship, and so individuals who are applying for citizenship, if we didn't have immigration laws, we would still have people applying to become U.S. citizens. So I think obviously the witness is a little flummoxed by the hypothetical, and I think I understand why.
It's a gentleman's time.
Reclaiming my time from the gentlelady from California who is well versed in these type of questions and an immigration attorney in her own right, whom I respect. I think it's important for us to ask these kind of questions because each time we go to work and during the day, there's got to be a purpose. And that purpose is that Congress writes laws, and then we direct the executive branch to carry out those laws. And I'm looking again, reviewing the testimony of Mr. Rodriguez. It says that a benefit fraud involves, I quote, the knowing and willful misrepresentation of a material fact on a petition or application to gain an immigration benefit. Types of benefit fraud include employment-based fraud, asylum fraud, and marriage fraud. As I read that and I listen to the testimony, I began to wonder, and I pose this question again to you, Ms. Kendall, if the President's memorandum that was issued by Secretary Napolitano dated June 15th, which sets up 4 classes of people and directs USCIS to issue work permits, if that is implemented into place, is there going to be more or less reason for benefit fraud to come before USCIS?
I am not in a position to discuss the particulars of the deferred action memorandum and program that will flow from it today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kendall. I understand that you're not in a position to answer those questions. I'll just answer it for you that if somebody's between the ages of 16 and 30 and there's no reason for marriage fraud, if you can claim that you've been in the United States for 5 years, went to school, etc. So I would submit that we're going to see a lot more fraud, a lot more document fraud, a lot more fraud from people that want to qualify under this this selective amnesty program that the President did his press conference on June 15th. It's a subject of this memorandum. And we're here discussing fraud, and every time that we see some form of amnesty, we see a tremendous amount of fraud that's associated with it. I might take the 1986, for example, that the numbers tripled on what were anticipated. We're looking with this memorandum of 800,000 to 1.4 million.